Hi, I just wanted to show you around this little engine I purchased recently on eBay. As you can see, it's a modified Mamod SL1 in a green livery. It's been slightly modified, apart from the obvious, the replacement slide valve cylinders. It's had a couple of extra domes fitted. One of these, I believe there's a functional steam dome under here, possibly Mike Cheney, because it's copper silver soldered boiler. There's also a little safety valve fitted here, that's increased pressure, that's 40 psi, and there's a nice little dome fitted there as well. These are actually, what do you call it, extruded rather than turned, so they're just thin sheet. Quite nicely made though, nicely finished as well. Little Enox valve there, little top up valve. The whistle, slightly different. Looks a little bit like the Mamod style whistle with the lever in the cab. It's got the big oversized ring so you can almost reach it when it's running. What they've done here is this part here is a standard metal part from the Mamod, and the whistle itself is quite long. It extends up the top. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but it's very, very well engineered. There's a little sort of a little pin through here, and the lever itself isn't the original Mamod one. It's actually made out of two pieces. And it slots through. You can see it's got little rivets, little snap head rivets through there as well. And there's a little lever that operates the whistle. Because it's a slightly larger length whistle, there's a bit more of a resonator as well. It makes quite a lot of volume. It's quite effective really. Showing the front of the Loco. The smoke box is brand new. There's nice little smoke box levers, and I don't know if you can see it, there's like a little rest there, so the little lever and the little dart locates on that little rest, so it sort of locks it around on the real Loco. That would tighten up the bolt inside and pull it through, so it's steam tight. The little hinges are quite well modelled as well. There's some nice detail on this little Loco. There's a lubricator here. It's not quite a displacement lubricator. I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but there's a. Let's go into the cab. Probably easy to take the cab back. It's a bit hard to try and film at the same time. But from the bottom of the regulator, there's the main steam pipe that goes through the combustion chamber, gives a little bit of superheat as well. And there's a little T that comes off there, and this copper pipe runs along top of the boiler, alongside the side tank, over around the smoke box, and then that just blows a little bit of steam into the top of the lubricator here. I think they're, can't think of the name on the real Locos. I sometimes see the little cast ones, the little valves on them. They're very similar on the genuine Locos. This is obviously a little bit oversized, but there's a valve on the bottom here as well, and you can actually control the amount of steam oil that emits into the cylinders. Looking under the Loco, we spin it around slowly so it doesn't go too blurry. Okay, can you see? There's the main steam pipe comes through from the lubricator, and it's really nicely engineered in here. There's all little unions in there as well, little glands. This goes into cylinders, soldered into the cylinder itself. There's little cylinder assemblies here, and you can just see there's a main steam pipe as well. So you've got the oil coming in, and then the main steam pipe coming through, and that just runs along by the burner here. Moving on to the burner. It's really blurry. And there we go. Burner tank, that's just made out of tin plate, I think, and it's quite large capacity, and it's very nicely fabricated as well, and it's beautifully soldered as well. It looks very, very professional, but it's a lot of care has gone into this Loco. Dripping out a little bit of mess all over my hand, but I'm not worried about that. Just the 3-wick burner. There's a 3 wicks down here. Also, you'll be able to, well, you won't be able to see it. You can just see the little slip eccentrics, which are again really nicely engineered. There's mild steel eccentrics, and then the little slip part is just a little brass turned component there, and the little cams here are nicely machined out of brass as well. I'm trying to show you this. You can see the little rods running down the inside, so there's not much space to spare on this little Loco. That's a problem with inside frame. There's never that much room to fit everything in, especially on the smaller scale Locos where they've got sort of Stephenson's valve gear or something like that. You obviously wouldn't be able to really have a burner. You'd have to have a proper locomotive, what do you call it, firebox. So there's the bottom of the Loco. Axles, standard sort of Mamod, they're slightly larger diameter, they're not the 1/8 of an inch, and they've also been shouldered and the wheels are press fitted onto the axles as well. So rather than just being peened over on the ends, which makes it turn really smoothly as well. It's a really nice run of this little Loco. I'm really pleased with this. And as you can see, it's got a little bit of chuff, a little bit of a water left in the boiler. Oops. Couplings on the front, little central buffer. There's a little sprung buffer. These are only cast white metal. I'm never a fan of white metal that much, but these look reasonably good. They're nicely bolted on as well, little tiny BA nuts and bolts. Again, attention to detail. You can see, I'm not sure you can see, but I can see. There's on the little smoke box apron, the little footplate here. There's all rivet detail on there. There's a little piece of brass milled angle in here as well. And there's little holes just so the tops of the cylinders, so you've got the little tiny BA screws again. Again, on the bottom of the cylinders as well, you've got little, I think they're about 12 BA little machine screws, little tiny brass nuts and bolts, and there's 4 steam chests as well. Again, I'm not sure what the cylinders are commercially produced items or if it's a model engineer that's made those. But I made some little cylinder covers. I'm never a fan of these big brass cylinders at the front. Some people like it, but I think it makes the front of the Loco look a little bit more together by having the cylinder covers. These just made out of nickel silver, and I've just folded those over on a little pan box folder, just with a radius on the edge. It's slightly larger than radius on the cylinders, but I thought it looked alright to me. That was the biggest tool I had available. Again, I got little tiny little BA hex head steel screws on there to hold them on. There's another couple on the bottom. These are the holes all drilled and machined, all tapped as well. You can see the little cylinder ends as well. They're nice and little 4 little nuts and bolts in there as well. And he's picked out the end of the cylinder cap in the matching green paint, which is quite a nice touch. You've got there's a lot going on with this little thing. You've got the hanger for the crosshead slides here. You got, well, so back to front, I'm looking at the other way around. You've got the double slide here, and the little crosshead itself. I'm not sure you'll be able to see, but that's nicely machined. I think that's it's machined out of brass, and there's a little tin plate, little cover over the end of a little pin on the end of the connecting rod there, and that's just made out of tin plate. Again, little connections on the end of the piston slide valve rod there. Nicely machined out a little bit mild steel. And coupling rods are standard Mamod. Well, no, they're actually slightly different. They've got little brass, tiny little bushes as well. And the crank pins are bolted through from the back of the wheel. So everything's a lot more robust. There's none of these little crank pins falling out, and you're not going to shed wheels because they're proper press fit onto the axles. You can see the little hanger there, so that's bolted again onto the little rails. A nice touch is the machine slots into the frames as well, just above the burners, just so you can see that they're all burning as well. And it's very hard to see. There's one just behind here, and you can just make sure all the burners are lit with that. Just picking up some more of the details on here. On the front of the Loco, on the little smoke box itself, there's a nice little saddle on the chimney. That's been, I think it's machined out of a solid piece of copper. Sometimes you see them, they're a small piece of copper pipe that's just been sort of formed over a cone or a little piece of bar or something, just to give it that little saddle, little flange around the bottom. This one, I think it's actually machined. I'm not quite sure. It might be filed or turned on a little jig on a lathe, maybe, just on a little milling attachment. And again, it's got a nice copper cap, nice oversized. I think it gives it a Loco a little bit of character as well.